Thing rolling. All right, welcome. And we're going to get started here with the CBS Marketing Mastermind and Allegiance. And today we're going to have a pretty fun time. I'm going to go ahead and get things started with a PowerPoint, and I'll start sharing my screen here shortly. Okay, and that goes like screen share. There we go. And there we have our start. So today we're going to be talking about one of the most popular topics that was came up in the survey, and that is logos and branding. And one of the things that we're lucky to have is somebody in our mastermind who's been doing that for a very long time, actually since 1971, and has worked with all different sizes of companies, mainly small businesses to medium-sized businesses. And I could not afford his services when we both lived in the LA area. He was down in Orange County. But I have made pretty good friends with him now, and by stretching things a little bit, I can still I can now afford his services. So I want to first of all say what we're going to be doing here today throughout our program is we're going to be taking the confusion out of marketing. Why? Because poor information leads to bad decisions, and by giving you the information that is going to be most helpful to you, we're going to be able to give you the power to make some strong decisions. So today we're going to learn the basics of logos and branding. We're going to get your questions answered by a pro, and we're going to have a bonus, which is at the end we're going to go ahead and have the expert web designer and so forth tell you about how to make your websites friendly to both mobile devices and these days Google, because Google's pretty nasty to you if you do not set your website up to mobile friendly. So we got two rules here in the mastermind. One is if you've got questions, we've got the Zoom chat box option over on, I think most of you can find that. If you find that, make sure you got that enabled and clicked and so forth. Or you can text my cell, which the number appears right there on the screen. And when Jack or Joel or myself ask a question and response, then please show some form of life. And that's our rules. Now, a quick survey of the mastermind group here. I would like for you to go over to the chat box, and if your company has a logo, please type yes. And if it does not, please type no. And let me get a sense for what we've got. So we've got a couple of yeses in already. Yes, yes, no, no. Okay. Anybody else out there want to put in another comment? Okay. So it looks like the majority do, but several do not. Okay. Next is, does your logo help? Because in your marketing, do you find that it is helpful to have this logo? If you don't have a logo, obviously you wouldn't answer this one, unless you observe that your lack of logo is hurting you. But go ahead and say helped in the text box if you believe it helped. So think so, but hard to know how to measure it. Probably yes, it helped. The logo, okay. So didn't help. Want to know what happened. So I don't get anybody that says we got one, but it didn't help. Is there anybody that's online at the moment that would say something like that? So yes, she's got a logo. Good. Yes, it helped. Good. All right. It looks like logos and branding actually help, according to our group. So we're going to move right on, and I'm going to introduce Jack. As I mentioned, he's been doing marketing, branding, and design since 1971. He's worked with hundreds and hundreds of clients and has a very strong background in art, as you'll soon see. His primary bent is as an artist, and he's managed to make a living being an artist by using this to help businesses to their logos, their branding, and all that. So, without any further ado, we're going to end up here in a few minutes with having Jack actually do a question and answer with you. But first of all, I'm going to go ahead and turn my screen off. Jack, if you want to share your screen and bring up your PowerPoint, and let's see what you'd like to share with our group.
Well, I just lost it.
Oh, it looks like it's something or happened there.
Hold on a minute. I don't know what happened. Hold on.
Okay. Well, technology is wonderful when it works.
There we go. You see it now?
Yep, I can see it.
Okay.
Okay, we got some nods. And if you, by the way, if you are not speaking, go ahead and mute yourself so we don't get any extra noise. Go ahead, Jack.
Okay, so since we're going to be talking about logos and branding, I want to make sure that we define some terms so that we are on the same page. A logo, also called a logo type, and that's where it gets its name, and it got shortened, is a graphic representation or symbol of a company name, trademark, abbreviation, or acronym. It is often uniquely designed for ready recognition. And that's the key phrase, ready recognition. Next, I want to define brand. Noun, kind of, grade, make, as indicated by a stamp, trademark, or the like. The best brand of coffee, like Folgers or something. A mark made by burning or otherwise to indicate kind, grade, make, or ownership. A mark formerly put on criminals with a hot iron. Ooh, that sounds painful. Branding iron used on livestock to show ownership. So if you look to the side over there on the right-hand side, you'll see a bunch of different kinds of brands. And down below, another one. So there's the branding iron. And that's kind of what you do, is making your mark on a product or a company. Kind of variety of something distinguished by some distinctive characteristic. The movie was filled with slapstick, a brand of humor he didn't find funny. The verb, to label or mark with or as a brand, to impress indelibly. The plane crash was branded on her mind. To give a brand name to, it's branded merchandise. To promote as a brand name. So I hope that's a little bit clearer on what branding is about. I'll answer questions later. All right, next would be the logo itself that we're talking about for you, let's say. Would it be a company logo? In other words, a logo that would represent the whole company and its whole product line, which generally is some form that has a lot of general character to it, as opposed to very, very specific, as in vision therapy. We know it's about vision. We know that the typeface is working around in such a way that you know that it's a complete unit, but we don't know precisely what they do. Product logo, a little bit different. It's much more specific. As example, Neo down in the left-hand corner is a product, Nature's Embrace Organics, and it was designed in such a way that it looked like it was organic. It grew together. It's 3 letters with the leaf, and it represented a particular brand of a company called, I forgot what it was called. Oh, Native State. Anyway, so that gives you an idea of a product logo. That would be on labels, packaging, and the like. Next is both. It could work for the company, it could work for a product label, it could be both. Fruit Forest, Southern Botanicals. Next is a questionnaire I put some time and effort into, because one of the things I found is an educated client is a much better client. And in order for me to do a good job for them, I'm going to need to know some basics. So let's go over this real quickly. Company's full legal name. Okay, is the company name currently a TM, an SM, or a Circle R? If not, will they be needing any of these? And that's just a matter of filling out some forms and getting them to the government. So that's important to know when you're creating a logo.
So Jack, would you define those terms, please?
What's that? Oh, TM is trademark, a service mark, or a registered trademark, all of which have certain rules and regulations for each. The Circle R is the highest form. And TM is usually for the type itself, and the SM is usually for the symbol. So together, and it's Circle R means it's protected across the nation. Next is a full product name. So that would be important, and it also could be many names. So I've done logos which created 7 or 8 logos at the same time for a family of products. So it's important to know specifically what each name is and whether they will be TM, SM, or Circle R. Now next is, what does the company or product do exactly in order to get a good logo for them? That would be very important. And then a little research, list your top 5 competitors by rank, first, second, third, and so on, and their web URL addresses, so that I can do the research to find out what they're doing to make sure that what I do for my company that I'm going to be working for makes them stand out heads and shoulders above that pack. Next, what are the company or product's differentiators? What is the unique selling proposition? Are they low cost, high quality, all natural, non-GMO, organic, or what? Okay, number 7, in which ways will the new logo be used? That'd be important, whether it's the standard print way with stationery and brochures and the like, or if it's going to be digital or both. Next, what color schemes would you like us to consider? Because sometimes a company has already used some color schemes, but they want to update their logo and they want to continue some continuity. Number 9, what symbols resonate the most in your industry or product line? Eagles, boats, horses, plants, flowers, rocket ship, you name it. Number 10, does any marketing research exist? If so, please supply us a copy. If none, skip 12 and 13 and get surveys done. Number 11, what are the keywords, hot buttons for the company and or product based upon survey? Number 12, what is the exact survey positioning for the company or product, again, via survey. So those are important basic datums before I ever do my digital magic. Next is, your logo will be used in what? So I'm going to need some specifics. Stationery is one form, letterhead, envelope, business cards, checks, invoices, and contracts. Those are all in that category. Next one is, are we going to go the traditional way and use printed promo, brochures, data sheets, flyers, presentation folders, etc. If you notice the Hirsch Velocity logo, I did the Hirsch logo for them, and then they wanted a product logo. And that then was in a black area on the left over there. You can see it on the labels for CDs, on the packaging, on ads, and so on. Dynamic drive, same thing. This is for a brochure, so it gives you an idea of what it looks like without anything, and then also when it's engineered into the brochure. Okay?
All right.
Next is websites. Now, that's a key one since it's in the whole area of promo. This is the newest addition to what we're doing. It has some requirements, and one of them is if you're doing a logo and most of your promotion is going to be via the internet, important to have the right sort of logo to fit. And if you notice, the two I'm showing you are very horizontal, and they work much better in that arena than a vertical or even a square, because you can get the size of the logo up pretty large, makes it easy to spot. So that's a little key. We'll go on from there to signage. And I've shown you a couple vehicle signs here just to give you an idea what can be done. Logo on the left, and then what it looks like on the truck. Buildings and exterior, interior, trade show booths would be signage also. And also billboards, bus shelter signs, and the like. Okay, next is some solutions. This is a typeface logo, as opposed to others we'll go over, where you use some sort of form of type and you create an image. I mentioned earlier the vision therapy. The idea was to make the letters hook together in such a unique way that they became a symbol all by themselves. Same with artists in action. And then we can also do a monogram logo. If you notice Moffett Nickel over here on the left, the far left side, there's a shape, a blue shape. We took that shape and then we flipped it and it became an M. Then we flipped it again and changed the color. And then we made it the same shape, but we rotated it 180 degrees and it became M and N. Monograms come from shirt details. One way to show in a clever way who owns the shirt. So that's where it came from. And it was a form of branding in those days. Same with Neo. I wanted something there with the three letters where they looked like they grew together and they were actually a unique and organic product. Okay, then we've got symbol logos. And they can be anything, basically, that works to communicate what the company does. I love the death to bugs. That was a nice one with just an upside-down dead roach, as an example. Over on a more less funny and more formal would be prime property. You know immediately that it has to do with real estate. And then it works as a rectangular, almost square logo, but it's all a unit. And one of the things I want to make a point on, too, when you're doing logos is most people think they're only one way. But many times you'll be in a situation where you need to separate the type from the symbol so that you can get it to fit into a horizontal shape or into a vertical shape. So I always recommend that you get more than one layout to go along with your logo. So that's symbols. Next thing is a hybrid. So many times I'll do hybrid logos where I have a symbol and a type working together very specifically. As an example, Native State, which was the company name for the NEO product line, the typeface lent itself to looking like it was growth. So I actually made the descenders become the roots and the ascenders becoming the flowers, and then put them on a bed, if you will, of organics. So that is a combination of type and symbology altogether as a hybrid. Another hybrid is the construction Renovavet, where we have a monogram R, and then we have, in the negative shape, a hammer. So you get the idea, hybrid logos. And then from there, some basic shapes, so you can identify what it is that you're really looking for. Are you looking for, if you know, a square, a circle, or sometimes they just lend themselves to these. So here's a couple of examples. And horizontal logos, which I really like well for web design. And vertical logos. Again, anytime you can take the type here and move it up to here and make it a horizontal if you need to. Here's a nice acronym that we made a logo. America Land Acquisition, Restoration, and Management. And we took the four rounded squares and made them into a shape with the kind of plants that they're talking about putting into restore land area for permaculture. Okay, and then typical layouts. I was talking a little bit earlier about how you make a logo work for you in many different situations. So in my logo, I've got a symbol, which is the theta symbol, and then I've got the type. If I stack it and reduce it in size a little bit and make a nice rectangle here, or I can pull it to the side, stretch the type out larger and make it a very nice horizontal. So recommend at least 2 of those for your logo. When you're hiring it, you should ask for that so that you have something that can go on checks or on a website, as well as business cards, etc. And then basic color renditions. I also recommend this, that you are going to know that your logo will work in black and white. It will work white on black. Certain situations you need that. It will work in flat color, and it will also, if you wanted to emboss or put a drop shadow around it, it will work in that way too. All right. And then here's my last thought that I would like to get across, and that is, you never expect a professional logo from an amateur. In other words, don't go for the cheap. Always go professional with a very good track record. So that's what you need. And get what you pay for always. So that's almost an always. You want to pay the correct price to get a very specific, very unique logo for you. So those are my final thoughts. Video, that's all, folks.
Great. Great.
And then finally, I've got my contact data. So if you'd like to take time and copy that down, jdpotter.com is my custom logos and website. A lot of data in there about branding, logos, brochures, and the traditional marketing and branding. Leftoverlogos.com is my stock logos site, and that has 750 logos there that someone can buy. If they don't have the money for a full-on custom logo, I've got some very nice ones they can pick from. My email address and the studio number. And I thank you. Thanks for listening.
All right, Jack. Thanks. That was great. So let's just ask if anybody has any questions for Jack. You can unmute yourself and ask, or if you don't have a mic, or if you prefer, put it in the Zoom chat box, and I'll ask for you. And Jack, you want to unshare your screen, and I'll pick it back up.
I have to find where to unshare it.
Probably have to
stop share. There we go.
There. Perfect. All right. So we'll switch over to this, and I go to questions for Jack. Okay. So last call for questions for Jack. We got some thank yous, very informative. So that's great. All right. So Tony says excellent logos, and the 12 points are very good. Another thing I found with getting logos for clients is what should be the logo by itself communicate, since the logo alone can communicate many things.
Correct.
And what should another question here, what should I expect to pay for a professional logo?
Well, can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
Okay. That is all over the board. It really depends on who you're talking with, what their reputation is. I've seen them as high as $1 million, and I've seen them down at $5. So truth of the matter is, most of your medium range, pardon me?
It says for a professional logo. So.
Well, for a professional logo, usually it starts around $1,500 and goes up. Typically, I was talking with a good friend of mine who's in the high end of logos, and he typically gets $5,000 to start. So it could be as low as 1,000, could be as high as the sky. But typically, I stay in that range of 1,500, 2,500.
All right. And then does branding include more than logos?
Yes.
All right. So we will do a second show on that at a later date.
Yeah, I can definitely put some more attention on how you convert a logo into the overall brand and how you work that into your packaging and so on.
All right. Yeah, let's do a little more on branding. I think that'll be the thing. So we'll come back a little bit later, have one more shot at asking questions for Jack and myself. And our next guest is Joel. And Joel Morris is an old friend of mine from LA. He's been in the web business almost as long as the web has been in business. He's been doing websites for over 20 years. And he's going to be talking today on responsive websites, what they are, and why you need them. So I want to have him go ahead and get rolling. he was telling me last night that when he first got started, he and his partner in the business, they actually could learn HTML in half a day.
Wow.
So that is no longer the case. But let's welcome Joel Morris. Joel?
All right, let me get to share my screen here. And can you see my screen now?
We can.
Yeah. Good.
And let the shows begin.
The show has begun. All right, responsive websites. What and why? I would admit, well, let's start with this. There's the old Bruce Lee quote, like water, be formless, shapeless, like water. You put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put water into a teapot, it becomes a teapot. Water can flow or it can crash. Be water, my friend. So some smart aleck took that quote from Bruce Lee and said content is like water. You put water into a cup, it becomes the cup, and so forth and so on. As you can see from the graphics there, they put it into a smartphone and a website or a computer screen. I doubt that it's real news to anybody here today that the world has gone mobile. And sometime in 2014, the number of people accessing the internet on mobile phones exceeded the number of people accessing it on desktops. So as a business person, this is a very important issue to pay attention to. A few years ago, a fellow named Jeffrey Dean, he's a very well-respected professional web designer. And when the term responsive first came out, and what that really means, we'll get into a little bit more, is just basically that your website responds to the type of device it's on. So he said day by day, the number of devices, platforms, and browsers that need to work with your site grows. Responsive web design represents a fundamental shift in how we'll build websites for the decade to come. My only exception I take with that quote is it should be decades. This is not going to go away. This is not a phase or a fad. It's the way to make sure your website, which is a presentation of your business on the internet, displays all across the boards. So the goal of responsive design is to build web pages that detect the visitor's screen size. As you can see here, we've got a desktop, a laptop, a tablet, and a smartphone. Detect the visitor's screen size and orientation, whether it's portrait or landscape, or horizontal or vertical, and change the layout accordingly. Now, it's also not only just to change the layout, but it also has to do with the font size, whether or not what happens with some of the images and how they resize for the different screens, or whether or not certain portions of your website even actually display, let's say on a very small screen like a smartphone. Just as a little background also, years ago when you designed a website, it was very, very structured. One of the first questions we would go over with a new client was, well, what size screen do you want to develop for? Of course, those of you who were around as computers evolved in business and the internet evolved, screens on your computer kept getting larger and larger. And then you'd kind of have a guessing game as a web designer. Well, but for this client's audience, are they going to have big screens, little screens? How wide? How many pixels or how many inches wide would you design for? And the web page was very structured and very fixed. In fact, they were called fixed width layouts. The whole point here, though, is that you can't do that anymore, because right now we've got 4 types of devices: desktop, laptop, tablet, and smartphone, and who knows what's going to be out there next. So Forbes did an article back in 2013 and interviewed this person that said, responsive websites simplify internet marketing and SEO. Instead of having to develop and manage content for multiple websites, businesses with responsive sites can take a unified approach to content management because they have only one responsive site to manage. You can present the integrated data on a responsive design so that the application looks great on all devices without custom coding needed for each device or screen size. So in February of this year, it was kind of the shot that was heard around the world in the web design community. Although people have been talking about responsive web design for a number of years, let's say around 4 years or so, maybe 5. And there were certainly lots of motion in that direction, lots of responsive themes were coming out. In February, Google issued this proclamation on their Webmaster Central blog. They said, starting April 21, we will be expanding our use of mobile friendliness. They call, instead of saying responsive designs, they call it mobile friendly. Our use of mobile friendliness as a ranking signal, meaning how does your site rank in the search engine results? This change will affect mobile searches in all languages worldwide and will have a significant impact in our search results. Consequently, users will find it easier to get relevant, high-quality search results that are optimized for their devices. So this is kind of really where the rubber meets the road as a business person. Mainly if, let's say, you're a flower shop in Clearwater, and so you want people to be, and because as we saw in the graph that mobile usage is getting very high, number of people searching for things on the internet, on their smartphones keeps growing. If somebody looks for flower shop Clearwater and your website is not responsive, there's a good chance your website will not show up on the first page of results when somebody searches that. So consequently, you're losing customers, potential customers. So what do you do? Well, Google, they didn't just issue the proclamation. They actually set up a whole series of web pages on what you do and how you do it. And then the URL's down there at the bottom, or you can just look up Google Mobile Friendly, and I'm sure you would find this page. And then there's a number of links off of that page. One of the things they did was they created a test to test whether or not your website is mobile friendly, whether or not it's responsive. And David sent that out in the email yesterday. You just basically cut and paste the URL of your website in, you click the Analyze button on the right, and hopefully you don't see this, no, not mobile friendly. Zooming it in a little bit, they tell you what is not mobile friendly about it. On the left, content is wider than the screen. The links are too close together and uses incompatible plugins. In the middle, it says we can't even see all of the files associated with this page. But then on the right, they give you some solutions of what to do. If you use a content management system like WordPress, you can click the next button and find out what they say. If someone built it for you, they say click the button. Bottom line, you should call your web designer. And then if you built it yourself, then they're going to give you some clues on what to do also. So I haven't gotten into the technical geek talk because unless you're a web designer and coding your sites yourself, that's really not something you would want to get involved in. But the bottom line is be sensitive to it as a business person. Your website is, and I'm sure Dave will be going over this more in some of the later webinars we have. Your website is kind of the core of all of your online marketing efforts, in my opinion anyways. It's certainly very important, and it's your front-facing view for most businesses on the internet. So you want to make sure that Google, and it's not just Google, Bing and Yahoo are doing this now also. You want to make sure it passes the mobile-friendly test and that it's viewable on all types of devices. So that's my presentation. If you've got any questions, there's my contact data. I'd be happy to talk to you and answer questions beyond this talk. But I'm also, if you've got anything now, I'd be happy to do that.
All right, and thanks very much, Joel. That was excellent. And you can copy down his contact data real quick, and we'll be around to answer a few questions for you. I'm going to have some questions for the group here in just a second. So, Joel, if you'll pass the screen back to me. Thank you very much. And we'll get this rolling on our next exciting thing. So next is quick survey of the group. So over to your chat box, please. Type yes in the chat box if your website is responsive. Type no if it isn't, or You can put a question mark there if you don't know. So we got a yes from Joel. Hey, that's good. No, no, yes. Thanks, no, yeah, yes, yes, and mobile ready, not the same thing. Okay, good. And we'll learn more about that shortly. No and yes. Yes, okay, good. So we've got a fairly good percentage of guys that are actually doing it. Now, the next question is, has anybody noticed that going to a responsive website has helped the number of hits you get on your site, the number of visitors, number of conversions? If you've noticed that it helped, please type in helped. Be very interested in getting a feel for what the group has experienced thus far. Yes, no questions about it from Steve. Yes from Joel. Yes from Tony. Mobile people stay longer. How about that? Jack hasn't helped. Ellen says yes. Yeah. And help more followers. Good from Ron. Ron, cool. All right. And then we've got the next one here, which is if it didn't help, let's get what happened. So Jack, do you have any comment on what occurred that it didn't help? Let's see. Let me have to hang on a second. Let me see if I can get you. Whoops. Get you loose here. Okay. Okay. There you are. Go ahead, Jack. Any particular thing that you can say on that?
I actually don't know the answer to the question. I did whatever I could to make it that way, and I did check it out. And as far as I can tell from the tests that I did, it is mobile friendly, but it hasn't created any major change that I can see.
All right.
I haven't checked Google Analytics in the last couple days, but overall there wasn't any big spike or even a general trend upward.
All right. Very good.
Maybe something I didn't do right.
All right. So we've got about, looks like about 8 answers yes, and then 1 didn't help. But it didn't make it worse, Zach?
No.
Okay. Good. So looks like the odds are pretty good that this is a good thing to do.
Yeah.
Any questions now for Joel from the group? Go ahead and type something in if you've got any specific questions for Joel. Or you can unmute yourself and speak up. All right. Going quiet, and you feel free to contact Joel individually. Our team members and alliance members are very helpful people, as you're probably recognizing at this point. So we're all in this together. Let's make it a success. So Jack could use some guidance, so you guys should put your heads together. Now I want to point out to you the answer to this question, what should you do this week? Well, use what you learned. Take a look at your logo. You don't have a logo. Let's figure out some actions that can be done. Ideally, the logo would be done after you have a positioning for your company.
Yes.
So that would be something that we can also discuss and give you some coaching on how to do that. And so now the 3 of us are available. See if you've got any questions. Let's see what we can do to help you. Any questions over here? Did Jack use Google Link to make sure he's mobile friendly? Jack, did you check it on that Google Link I sent out yesterday?
Not on that one, but I think it's the earlier version. I didn't get a chance to do that yesterday, but I will do it. I will do it again just to make sure that it wasn't actually a negative.
All right, good.
As far as I know, it didn't work, but it's certainly possible that there's a couple of things that may be missing. So.
Yep. Technology is a moving target. Any other questions for any of our group this week? Okay, Ron didn't get the link. I will resend that out. Joel and Jack, if you'll both send me your contact data, and Joel send me that link again, and I'll blast that out to everybody so they got it. Any other questions? Going once, Good.
I have a quick statement, if you don't mind. And that is, if anyone currently has a logo, I'd be more than happy to take a look at it for you at no charge. And then if there's any need to, review or revise it, be happy to do that at a minimal charge for our group only.
All right. Good. That's a great thing. All right. So Tony put a note here. Luckily, in the last year, so many great new WordPress themes are already built, responsive, and mobile ready. And I know from talking with Tony that he recommends the Nirvana theme, just like the state that we've all achieved.
Yes.
And so that would be a good one to look at. So yeah, I'm getting a bunch of amens here. And Tony says, and Avada, A-V-A-D-A, Avada, and many others. So there are lots of good ones out there. Let's get some of them and get them going. So now my request is take what you've learned and let's go do it. Make this your best 2015 year ever. And here we're going, paving our way to success. Next week, we're going to be talking about, we've got 2 or 3 things coming up. I'm going to go ahead and put this together during the end of this week, early part of next week, but we are going to be in the next 2 weeks going over with a presentation from Tony on Facebook advertising. This will be something that will be very eye-opening and something we can use immediately. Another thing that I noticed about the group is very few of us are listed in directories or Google Local or Google Business or Google Maps or a lot of these different things that would make a difference. And so I would like to have someone in our group or coming in to help our group provide some data about this and how to get us better, more out there and more visible on the web for our business purposes. So those are a couple of things that I've got in mind. I did get the very last, or at least the last report that I got about the spreadsheet. Dr. Matt turned in for me. His computer threw a fit and didn't save his first effort at it, but I got it done again. And so I am just in the process of massaging those survey data. If there's anyone that has not filled out that spreadsheet, please send it in to me as rapidly as you can. If you don't have it, please email me and let me know. My email is right there, and I will go ahead and put your experience and responses in there, because part of our alliance is to find out what are we doing as individuals and as businesses, what do we see that's working, so that we can share that and all benefit from that. And also give us the information that will help us to utilize the wisdom that we have collected here to rapidly improve our marketing. So I want to see from our next 2 weeks in a row, I want to see some actual changes in terms of visible things out there on the web or in the marketing arena that you're doing that is raising your visibility and hopefully your other activities. So Tony says that he's got a seminar on citation and directories he can do sometime in the future. So maybe we'll have him put that together for us for the next week or so. So that's what I've got for you today. And at this point, we're going to wrap it up. Anybody got a comment or question? Okay. Very well done. So we're going to stop the recording.